Good afternoon, all members and supporters of the mighty Brisbane Lions. Welcome to Round 10's Coaches Wrap, proudly sponsored by Vero, one of our great sponsors. This week we're going to touch on a couple of areas of improvement and a couple of things we did well. Once again, thanks for all the questions, and I'm going to answer a couple of the questions within this segment, and we'll answer a later one later on. But the first thing I want to talk about, one of the questions was red time. For those of you who don't understand what red time is, it's in the last 5 minutes of each quarter. So up on the time clock on the television, you won't see it at the game, but on the television you'll see when it's got 5 minutes left in the game. That's what we call red time of each quarter. On the weekend, Hawthorn kicked 7 goals in red time, which wasn't great for us. It's basically almost the end result. And there's a number of reasons about why they did that, and it's been a big issue for us over the last 4 or 5 weeks. And we can talk through a bit about what it is. One of the first ones is contested football. Even though we won contested football on the weekend, in red time on the weekend, we went down by -14. So that was one of the biggest issues. The other one we can talk about is fatigue. Whether that's the reason or not, who knows, but I'll talk through that in a second. And the last one being what I call player roles. One of the biggest things that we're trying to introduce with our young group is their ability to play their roles. It's a structure type situation, kick-ins, stoppages, when the opposition have got the football, when we've got the football. We basically do it very well for 80-90% of the game on the weekend, but we let ourselves down in red time situations, and I'll show you a couple of examples of what I mean by that. First one here you'll see is a stoppage. So I've highlighted, you've got Tommy Cutler there, you've got Ryan Bastanak and Alan Christensen. I'll take away the squares. I'll let the vision roll. You'll see here the ball comes in short, Cuts just whacks it forward, Bundy misses the ball, contested footy, Hawthorn win it, they shape around and they kick a goal. If I go back slowly and go through it, in this situation what we generally do is, because the ball comes to Cuts, we basically want him to grab it and kick it forward and try and create another stoppage further on the ground. This is a real example of a defensive 50 stoppage. We call it basically life and death, where we're trying to stop the opposition from scoring. So Cuts, in this instance, needed to grab the footy rather than belt it forward. Bundy needed to win the contested footy, which he hasn't done. Bastanak needed to be right with Jordan Lewis, and he wasn't. So there was 3 instances there where we didn't play our role and we got the result of a goal against us. So these are just the little things in a game in the last 5 minutes which really cost us. This centre bounce example here, you'll see. The ball's bounced, obviously. Ruckman go up as they do. Sam Mitchell wins the contest. Now you'll see Sean Burgoyne in your screen here. One of the roles as our forwards was to make sure Sean Burgoyne or a halfback didn't come in off the line. Forwards did it very, very well for most of the game. Unfortunately, in this instance, they didn't do it. You'll see Squizzy Taylor, who basically comes in a little bit afterwards, but he's too late. The handball goes through to Sean Burgoyne. They get it forward and they kick a goal. So another example of inability to play a role. So that was the second one. Third one here is a free kick to Hawthorn, about 55 metres there. You can see the time clock, 1 minute 30 left. Really important that this part of the game, that when they're having a shot from goal from this far out, that we get all our numbers down in the goal square, so that if they kick it long, which we know they will, that we can spoil the ball through for a point and get control of the football. You'll see here, it takes a little bit of time. Bruce kicks it in. Unfortunately, we don't kill the football here. Our ruckmen and our defenders just don't kill the football. They take an easy mark and they kick a goal. So there's a few examples there of what I'm talking about in terms of guys not playing their roles, not winning contested football. Now you might ask, what do we do to improve this? It's a matter of us putting the guys under fatigue at training, which we'll do this week, put those situations in front of them, talk through it, but then get them to act it out, and hopefully that builds some momentum. The other thing is our leadership. We want our leaders to stand up in those instances and make sure that our players are all playing their roles in every situation that we need to. Another question we had was about our nutrition, and rather than me talking about nutrition, because I have no idea what we're talking about, I thought I'd get our expert in here, Louise Cato, who's the Brisbane Lions sport dietitian. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Over to you.
Hi Lions fans, so thanks for having me on. So I'm the sports dietitian at the club, and the question this week was asked about what we can do to try and prevent fatigue during the game situation and what role nutrition might play. So just to talk you briefly through what our game plan is, nutrition-wise, preparation starts 24 hours before the game. We try to focus on a high carbohydrate intake, carbohydrate being the major fuel for the game. So if the boys can manage to consume more carbohydrate carbohydrate from good quality sources in their evening meal before a game, that can increase their muscle glycogen stores, and then that hopefully prevents the onset of fatigue. So on game day, we like to have a nice big meal, whether that's breakfast or lunch, depends on the timing of the game, but 4 hours before the game. Again, the focus is on carbohydrate foods. So we are talking things like oats would be good, cereals, white breads. A lot of the boys will like to have pasta or rice, anything that's not too high fibre but is a good source of carbohydrates. Not too much protein or fat pre-game because gastric comfort is important as well. And the other thing that's important when we're talking about preventing fatigue is making sure that your hydration is spot on as well. So that means drinking consistently, not too much, but also making sure that you are well hydrated. So when it comes to game time, it becomes more important to have your quick digestible carbohydrates because there's not as much time to digest. So now we're focusing on things that are more like your white bread, your honey. The snack that is within 30 minutes of the game starting usually tends to be something like rice crackers or even lollies. Not that great for your health, but they are a good source of fuel when you've only got 30 minutes to digest them. So the boys will tend to top up on that a little bit, and they'll also use sports drinks like Gatorade because they're a good source of carbohydrates and electrolytes for helping with hydration. During the game, the main source of carbohydrate is, of course, sports drink. So a lot of the boys will be sipping on that throughout the game whenever they get an opportunity. When we get the chance at quarter time, half time and 3/4 time, we'll come out with gels and at half time lollies as well. Again, just because if they haven't optimised their muscle glycogen stores and they're feeling the fatigue start to set in, that's just a quick top up of carbohydrates to keep them going through till the end of the game. And that's about it in terms of the preparation and what we do throughout the game when it comes to preventing fatigue. It's all about those carbohydrates and also making sure your hydration's really good. So that's it from me. I'm going to pass it back to Danny. Thank you.
Thanks, Louise. Great insight for you supporters and members out there about what the players do on game day. And finally, I just want to finish off in terms of what went well, because there were some things that went well on the day. Obviously, our contested ball, which has been an issue for us all year, we won that by +5. But the most important part of that was our hard ball gets, which was +24. Hard ball gets is based around pre-stoppage and post-stoppage. Pre-stoppage means at the stoppage where the ruckman hits it down and we want to win the football. Post-stoppage is once the ball leaves the area of the stoppage and there's a contest which needs to be won. So just I'll show you a quick 30 seconds of what that looks like. So you can see here, Hawthorn have got the footy, ball hits the deck. Bundy 1v1, wins the footy, gets it off to Daniel who kicks it high in the air. Ball comes back down and Bundy wins another hard ball get and gets us going forward. So this was a real positive on the day and something which we want to make habit. So one of the big things we've spoken to the boys already about is our ability to consistently win contested football and make that something we do over the course of the next 4 weeks. We're challenging the boys to do that. And this is just another example of Bundy, who I've highlighted again. Ball's there, it's a 1v2. He goes lower and harder. He wins the football, gets it going our way. So that's what we call hard ball gets. Contested footy was a great result for us on the weekend, and I'm sure your supporters would say that for 3 quarters we were very good at the way we went about our football. There was a lot of effort from the players, and hopefully that holds us in good stead moving forward. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about is the journey. I've just got a graph up here which explains the average age in games played on the weekend. I want to make one thing clear. This is not an excuse about our performance in any stretch or form, but what I want to get across is that we're on the right track with the kids we're playing. And you can see here Hawthorn had the second oldest age and games played on the weekend. We were ranked 17th, and there was a +60 games difference per player from Hawthorn to us. So a question was asked about why they overran us. At the end of the day, their experience came through. They were just too strong. We didn't finish off our work in front of goals as well as we should have. But we are on the right track. It was a great effort against a side that's won the last 3 premierships, keeping in mind that we weren't happy with the last quarter. But we're very confident moving towards round 11 against Carlton that we'll have a great crack at it and a good showing. And hopefully your supporters can tune in, come down and watch us, and hopefully we get a win for you.